welcome to the lobby, GameSpot's weekly hangout every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on GameSpot.com. How you doing? I'm Daniel Dwyer, joined by Scott Butterworth and Andy Bauman, still taking notes. Such is the professionalism we have on offer here.
He's just doodling. I'm just looking. There's nothing. It's just penises.
He's like, don't talk about the game that's under embargo. We can get through this whole show without mentioning it. We'll be doing just great.
I'm drawing cars.
You know what game is not really under embargo that we're here to talk about, though? The Need for Speed.
We're just getting right into it.
Yeah.
Screw that banter. We're just going right for the...
Need for Speed.
Yeah, it's a game.
It's just called Need for Speed, right?
It's just called Need for Speed.
What is the closest Need for Speed it is to, though, in relation to the old Need for Speed games?
Sure. It's kind of like Underground. Okay. So the Need for Speed Underground games were like the tuner street racing kind of games, and this came out in 2003 and 2004, I believe.
Very popular.
And it's not exactly like those games, but it is sort of about tuner culture again, and it's about illegal street racing, and it's always nighttime, and you're building up your own tuner mobile, and so it's similar to those, but it actually feels like driving-wise and mechanically feels a lot like Hot Pursuit, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Or Most Wanted, I think either of those. It's definitely not Shift. It's not like the realistic Need for Speeds, like those were their own thing. And it's not even too much like Rivals, which was the first Need for Speed from Ghost Games, who also made this Need for Speed.
So you gave it 8 out of 10 on GameSpot. The review is currently up right now.
It's true, yes.
Talk a little bit about the sort of the time you hit a wall, because I found that to be an interesting part of your review. You kind of tried to make a, master of all trades, or jack of all trades, master of none car, and it didn't quite work out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly what happened. I was actually kind of struggling with how to start the review and what I wanted to talk about, and then I realized that the moment that sort of stuck out to me was that realization of, even though I'd had some serious trouble with a difficulty spike late in the game, I still wanted to play. I mean, once I got past that and the game became fun again, it was like, oh great, this is, and ultimately, that's sort of what decided the score for me. I mean, even when I sat down to write the review, I was kind of torn between a 7 and an 8, for a lot of the reasons that I'm sure we're going to get into. But ultimately, why I decided on an 8 was, two things. One, a lot of the problems that people have with the game are arguably fleeting, stuff that's only going to affect a small portion of the game, and stuff that's really good is going to continue to be good. Things like the driving and the customization, things like that. Those would be good in perpetuity. But the other big thing was, like I said, I always wanted to keep playing. I mean, no matter what I came up against in the game, I was always excited to continue driving, to continue upgrading my vehicle. And any game that can do that, like, even if I want to go play a game after I'm done reviewing it, that's a powerful thing.
So in spite of its foibles, it still brought you back.
Exactly.
So what were you doing when you came back? What type of activities do you what is the meat and potatoes of Need for Speed?
Sure, it's a little all over the place. There's drift events, there's racing events, there's Gymkhana, which combines like a lot of different driving disciplines. And it's an open world structured game, kind of like Burnout Paradise or any number of previous Need for Speed games. So you can just pick and choose the events you like and kind of do those. And eventually you will kind of be forced to do a little of everything if you want to continue to progress through the story. But it's pretty open. You have a lot of options. Actually, that's one of the things I really wanted to talk about. One of the biggest problems people had with the game was rubber banding AI, which is kind of a dirty word when it comes to racing games, and something that is all too frequent, and it comes up a lot in racing games, right? And it is a problem, it is annoying, and I'm bummed that this game has pretty obvious rubber banding. But here's the thing. 1, it didn't completely ruin the experience, and 2, it only affects a small portion of the events in the game. I mean, a lot of the events you're competing against a clock or trying to reach a point total, things like that. Only a small handful have you competing directly against AI competitors. So the rubber banding AI doesn't affect the entire game. It just affects a small portion. And yeah, it sucks that it's there, but for me, I was able to work through and get past it.
Yeah, we noticed some of that when we did our GameSpot plays.
Yeah, I saw that.
Now playing last week. Actually.
That was fun. It was a good live stream.
It was good fun. Andy, did you play after we did that live stream? Like, what is your sort of main takeaway from Need for Speed as somebody who plays like a bunch of the Forza game, coming from that sort of angle?
Yeah, I mean, like, point blank, you should play Forza Horizon 2. But like,
it's a very different game.
But it's like, it's got all this stuff in it and more. So it's like, I don't know. But the thing about Need for Speed is we were playing on Xbox One.
Yes.
One thing to note is like the PS4 version was running way smoother the whole overall, and it almost like was catching my eye in certain places where it looked better.
Right.
So I don't know how much of a widespread thing that is, or if there's a patch that fixes that day one. But like that's something to look out for.
That's interesting because we did have like pretty frequent frame rate hitching on the Xbox One, and not that it was like completely
unplayable or
unplayable, but it was definitely like a noticeable thing.
And that's a key thing. But yeah, I would agree. Like, it's not bad. Like, there's nothing terrible that's going to turn you off about it. And the rubber banding AI actually is nice in a way because like on these street race stuff, the streets are empty.
Yeah.
because they kind of took out all the traffic, which is nice for the gameplay aspect because you don't want to run into random cars like all
Which
that often.
does happen sometimes,
yeah.
but yeah, if it was happening all the time, you would just break your disc in half.
Like the
Yeah.
crew, that happens all the time, and you just want to kill yourself.
Yeah, because it's not your fault. It's just
it just comes up all of a sudden.
and you're just like,
oh,
why? Why would you put all
some
the...
commuter.
So, and then like the drift events, like you're saying, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And also like it helps because you get drift trains if you kind of like sync your drift with all your dudes.
Yeah.
And because it's all about the style. Like you're not racing against them, you're racing like with them to like put down the best, drift turns on the switchy backy turns of the mountains. And so it's like it's
That's what
pretty
all the
cool.
cool kids call it, switchy backy things.
Yeah.
Switchy backy?
In tuner culture, that's the.
I think
that's the
so.
term.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And speaking of tuners.
As a video, yeah, okay, go for it. Yeah,
Well, yeah, like one of the things we both kind of were talking about that we liked is it forces you to tune your car, and it gives you the meta slider that just says drift,
grip or
performance.
drift. Yeah, if you want to
grip or
ignore
drift.
everything, just there's a master slider at the very top that do you want a grippy car? Or do you want a drift car?
And that
And
makes
you
all the
don't have
other
to think
ones.
about anything.
Yeah.
But I would sincerely recommend diving into the more granular things that you can adjust. You can kind of see it on
Areas,
screen
yeah.
right there. Say, handbrake strength and spring stiffness and all this stuff actually matters, and it will impact the way the game controls. So if you are playing the game, and you're like, I hate how this handles. Go adjust stuff. It handles the way you want it to handle. Just go mess with it and make it into what you want it to be.
Yeah, it was interesting. You tuned your car differently and then did a drift event, and it was like a no-go.
Oh yeah, I was
just
like, I gotta redo this.
Yeah,
we gotta go back to the garage.
It took me an embarrassingly long time to figure that out. And like I said, the game
Whoa.
almost encourages you to just build up a single car, like the way that the progression system is structured and the rate at which currency is meted out. It really encourages you to build up one car early on at least. And so later, when I hit the wall that you had mentioned earlier, basically what happened was I could no longer get away with having one car. I needed to have multiple cars, or at least drastically retune my car for each different event, which was a giant pain, by the way. It's better to have two cars if you can afford it.
Did you ever get the
Yeah.
Ferrari F40? Because it's not the
Oh yeah, I bought the, I'm not going to say it right because I'm used to reading it, the Lamborghini Aventador.
Okay.
It's like the second highest rated car in the game, but I preferred it over the highest rated. And yeah, once you have enough money, you can buy the crazy exotic cars. They're absolutely in the game. But really, it's about building up your stock nothing car into something really cool, and that's a little more rewarding.
Okay, let's talk about. I feel like we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we had you on with Guitar Hero.
Yes.
But FMV, man.
Yeah.
It's back in a big
2015,
way.
baby.
Year of
man.
FMV.
I think cameras have gotten good. This is like a camera nerd thing.
Yeah.
But I think cameras have gotten so good that they can run these deep focal length lenses and make it lit in a way that's not super over the top, and it looks kind of natural. It's obviously supplemented. You can see HMIs going through windows in this
Yes,
game and stuff,
yeah.
but it looks nice. I think it's cool, and it's impressive that they do these things, and they have probably use motion tracking in the shots, robotic tracking, or it's just a really good Steadicam op. It's so impressive.
It looks like
and
cookie,
looks
but it's
good.
kind of good, right?
Yeah, and they're obviously shooting Ultra HD, 4K, 5K, 6K. So it's damn, this stuff is but then the acting is
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about the camera nerd aspect of it. It was really fascinating
Yeah.
talking to Andy about it because that's kind of what Andy does. And so it hadn't occurred to me that the way it was made was actually kind of cool because I was a little more fixated on the acting and the dialogue, which are not great. In Guitar Hero, it was really insufferable and just I don't know, I really couldn't stand it in Guitar Hero. But for whatever reason, it really grew on me here. I think because it's just kind of friendly and goofy and really welcoming in a weird way.
Right.
And it just kind of won me over. There's no discernible plot. There's no arching storyline. There's nothing. It's incomprehensible.
It's like a bunch of people meeting who apparently are all streetcar racers,
Kinda.
never meeting near cars, always in a bar.
It's always exactly. There's
It breaks
one
down.
scene that happens with cars
Yeah.
present. Everything else is maybe there's a car in the background, but it's we're in a
Turns
diner
out
room.
shooting outdoors is
What they-
expensive.
Yeah, exactly. They needed sets, and then when they did try to bring the models of the in-game cars into the
Yeah.
shots, you can really see the seams of the green,
It's-
the mat and
yeah.
stuff, the green screen stuff.
So
and you're
like I
"Oh."
said, it won me over in its charming campiness, and I wasn't gonna really penalize the game too deeply, even if it was bad, because it's a racing game. I'm not really playing racing games for story.
Right.
And you can skip everything, by the way.
Yeah.
If you really are grossed out by the idea of FMVs, you can absolutely just skip everything, and you still get all the same events. You can still play the game exactly the same. So you don't have to experience any of that. But if you sit through it, it might win you over like it won me over, because
Yeah.
it is just goofy and fun and you just get to know and love these stupid characters. So I actually grew to really enjoy it. By the
Which
end.
is kind of like what Need for Speed Underground was as well. It was this like dumb like character, like that's kind of in fitting with it in a way. So
I mainly just remember like Underglow and all that kind of stuff. That was my fond memories of Underground.
Let's talk about the final point I want to talk about, because for some reason it's one of my favorite aspects of this game. And at the start I thought it was like super kooky and weird, but the fact that this game is in like perpetual nighttime,
It's a little weird.
love.
Yeah, well, I mean,
night.
so Underground was all at night as well, so it's sort of in keeping with that. I mean, it's illegal street racing, right? Like, what illegal street race is happening in the middle of the day?
3 p.m.
Yeah,
in like gridlock.
it's not generally, I imagine, how those sorts of things are conducted. Not really, I'm not much of a gearhead. I haven't spent a lot of time
Oh, we know what you
racing
get up to on the
cars.
weekends, Scott.
Yeah, it's not racing cars, though.
Oil underneath his fingers.
Yeah, oh, clearly, yeah.
blood.
I'm really a tuner.
I changed my headlight this weekend.
Oh, did you really?
Tuned
That's
because
it.
you've
I'm
been playing
impressed.
Need for
tuned the
Speed?
shit out of it.
Yeah, man.
Dude.
I put
I
like,
actually had to go back because I bought the wrong one.
Did you
Wait,
really?
yeah, you didn't change your headlight. You replaced your headlight.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because you were there when it was
I
out.
was. That was
Yeah.
like wait, have you been driving around for like a month?
I
with
don't
no-
drive my car very
Okay,
often.
okay,
Only
fair.
on weekends and during the day.
But what I love about
Yeah.
the nighttime stuff is that like it in certain parts of the map it's like dawn.
Yeah, it starts to get a little dusky, and then
Yeah.
it's immediately night.
And
again.
it's
And then you
night
go
again.
past like a point in the level, and it goes like fade in, fade out.
Yeah, so it's like you're playing in like Alaska or something.
But, like,
it's like
dude.
it's daytime for 30 minutes and we're back again.
Like we kind of brushed on how it looks good. Like the night driving, it looks fucking cool.
It looks
like,
good.
It's
looks
beautiful.
so
the
cool.
game is absolutely
The wet
gorgeous.
as well. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you got
yeah,
the
I mean,
wet streets
I
and-
get that people think that it's kind of dumb that it's always wet and always night, but God, it's gorgeous. I just loved
Yeah.
whipping around the world. It's just so much fun just to drive around and look at everything. It's beautiful. It's one of the best looking racing games I've ever played.
last point on it. I just want to touch on it before we wrap up. Multiplayer stuff. How does that work? Is it essential? Is it non-essential? Like,
So you're in a sort of shared open world. I mean, like I said, you're in a big city. It's an open world map, and within that map, you will find other drivers. It's always online, which is its own thing. I called it out in the review because I knew that for some people that's a deal breaker. Like always online, no, out, and like burn it to the ground. I want nothing to do with it instantly. And for me, it wasn't a deal breaker. Like it's annoying for the reasons I outlined in the review. Like you can't pause, stuff like that. And yeah, I don't like it, but I learned to live with it.
oh yeah, that's why when
Remember
you
you go
went
into
in
the map,
Yes.
and your car just keeps going.
He went in
Yep.
the map and the car's just like
Yep.
going down the
Don't
street.
text and
Because it's
drive,
always
I
online.
think
You
is the
can't
message.
pause the game. Like if you need to, the joke I made in the reviews, if you need to stop your cat from destroying your furniture, you can't. You're either going to lose the event or your cat's going to destroy your couch. It's like you can't actually pause the game. Always
Yeah.
online is annoying for a lot of reasons. That's one of them. But again, for me, not a deal breaker. Called it out so people can make up their own minds.
Right.
If they hate it, fine, great. But yes, multiplayer, you can create crews and have your friends join events with you. You can just cruise around the map and find people there and challenge them to sort of ad hoc events by just pulling up next to them and pulling one of the triggers or one of the bumpers. Yeah, so there are plenty of options. There's no dedicated multiplayer mode, but I didn't have a problem jumping into events and having fun with people, actual human beings, not rubber banding AI.
Any benefit to that? Was there like extra cash rewards? Or
If you beat a friend's time, it'll specifically mark events where a friend has set a high score or a
Okay.
best time. And if you go to that event and you beat their time, you get more rep experience and more cash than you would have if it was just a regular event.
Cool.
So the game does reward you for beating your friends' times and playing sort of asynchronously.
Great. So just make sure your friends suck and Need for Speed.
Exactly.
And you're good to go.
Sorry, there's no cockpit cam, no manual shifting.
That's true,
Not
yes.
a lot of options.
Which,
there.
as like, I'm an arcadey like Need for Speed fan. I like the Burnout games. I like big crashes and going fast. So stuff like manual shifting and cockpit view don't really matter to me. I mentioned a couple of them in the review just so people would know. But
Yeah.
for me, I'm just there to go fast. Like I don't need shifting. It didn't affect me. I don't care.
Cool.
But for some people, I know that that's a deal breaker.
Yeah,
so now
my
you
man.
know. You can
Not
make
deal
up your own
breaker, just
minds,
like,
readers,
just good info.
viewers, watchers, whoever. Yeah. So
to
that's
know.
Need for Speed.
Sweet. Andy and Scott, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Talking about race cars. Presumably this is back to being an annualized franchise. So we may see you guys back
We'll
in 12
see.
months to talk about it all again. Let us know what you think of Need for Speed. You are a fan of the series, you want to get back into it? Or is this one piqued your interest for the first time? Or are you not into it? Do you have another racing game du jour you're enjoying? Let us know in the comment box below. All right, we got a bunch more stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk about goddamn Candy Crush in a while. We're going to talk about Rise of the Tomb Raider since that embargo has officially dropped. And we're going to talk about Fallout 4's controllers at the end of the show as well. We'll be back in a second. Going to check out this hot first look trailer at Kursk. Really? Submarines. Rise of the Tomb Raider is just around the corner, the second part in the trilogy we weren't supposed to know about, and we've got Mary Kish and Alexa Ray Korea on the couch, who've been playing it for the past week or so?
Yeah, about.
All right.
Sneakily.
Any of you doing the review?
That's Mike.
Someone else doing a review? All right, so we can get real dig into dirty about what you guys think about Tomb Raider. Alexa, first of all, how are you enjoying this? Are you a fan of the old game? What do you think of this one?
I really liked the reboot. I really liked the way that they're sort of set it up as you are building Lara. Like, this is how she becomes this badass archaeologist. And I'm really liking the game a lot. I think the level design's great.
How does it play? Is it very familiar to the reboot game, which came out
2013.
years ago now? 2013, okay, so it'll be coming up on 3 of them. Yeah, because it was early 2013 as well, I think. Yeah, so it's actually been a while.
Yeah, the best way to compare it is if you liked that one, you're going to like this one more because they took everything that you would have liked about it and they doubled down on it.
So what are we talking about? Is it
being able to customize Lara with upgrades to skill points? They've like doubled the amount of skills that she has. Now you can actually choose what kind of Lara you have as opposed to just one type of Lara. There's more weapon customization, there's more weapons in general, and the world is more open instead of linear. In the first game, it was open and it was not. It was linear, you were going down one way.
Yeah.
In this game, they are putting you in an area where there's lots of different stuff to mess with, or you can do the story. So there is more choice in this game.
So there's kind of like, there is one path for the main quest which you can see, but there's more like stuff around the edges that you're sort of, you can go ahead and explore.
yeah, definitely.
Because they had a bit of it on the first one, but it was kind of only those individual tombs,
It
right?
was like 2 things.
Yeah.
They were like optional tombs, and they told you that, and it was like it wasn't, you know,
You don't really get anything for them either. Like this one is, you get like special skills that you can only get if you complete certain tombs.
Yeah.
And if you don't do the tombs, you don't have to do the tombs, but you don't get the skill. So here, there's a lot of incentive to like go off and explore and find stuff.
So what are those tombs like? How do they play? Are you on your own generally? Is it because a lot of the like I guess maybe one of the criticisms that I had about the old game, although it was like really good, sorry, the reboot, was that you were shooting a lot of people and killing a lot of people, whereas Tomb Raider was always kind of a more solitary game of exploration and killing animals, stuff like that. So like, are those tombs, do they have the bombast of the main quest stuff, or is it more solitary, like
They're
puzzles and whatnot?
Yeah, they're puzzles. Yeah, they're very more puzzles.
And there's more puzzles. There is a lot of killing. There's no way to say that there's not.
Yeah.
I always associated Lara with killing. I mean, when I played Tomb Raider 2 or any of the ones like back on like the old PC, or a PlayStation, she killed a lot of people with guns. This one is just more vivid. It's more real. She's shooting them in the face. She's stabbing them in the throat.
Poisoning them.
It's more aggressive. But she killed people before.
Yeah.
This has not changed. She's just a little bit more, it's a little bit more gruesome, but you should expect that, right? It's a more visually stimulating game. It's more interesting. So yeah, the death scenes are more intense.
But they're not as crazy as the reboot one, right? Because like that was one of those things where people were like, "Oh man, you can really watch this lady get killed in fucked up ways." Like a lingering camera that kind of was kind of staying there.
Definitely, they toned him down a little bit, but she still gets eaten.
Like a tiny, she gets eaten. There's one where she falls on spikes and like the spike goes like up through her jaw, through her cheek. It's like, it's really, really
They're still there, but I think they've toned it down a little bit. I don't think the developers wanted this game to be associated with her being impaled in the gut and stuff like that. I'm sure a lot of people will remember there were 2 scenes in the original reboot. One where she's like going down a flood, like a landslide.
I got,
and if you went the wrong way, it was like. Bleh.
I did like 5 times in a row, not because I wanted to see it, but because that like it almost felt quick timing. It was like, do I go left or right? Do I go left or right?
No.
Yeah. There's not a lot of that quick timey stuff in this one either.
They've reduced it. There's still stuff, but I would say it's less. There's and then there's less of those. If you don't hit X, you see this gross shot. It doesn't happen, but you will. There's still elements of her dying if you make the wrong mistake and
her
stuff
killing
like that.
dudes too. How does it look? That first game, I remember thinking
so good.
looked real good. It had all the Tress effects stuff in it. Like,
That's still here. But
Great.
it's not Tress Effects. It's called like hair power or something.
there's so many different
Hair power.
They have, like,
it's been
middle layers
updated now.
for hair now.
Yeah, I would say I love to compare it to like The Witcher because like she could be 500 feet underground in a cave with no air and her hair's like blowing beautifully. It makes no sense, but like that's the way The Witcher was too. But I liked the way his hair looked, and I like the way her hair looks. It's very natural and it's cool. Like they've done a lot with it, and it's not just her hair. She's just they've done extra touches to her. When she is close to a wall, she touches it. When she's cold, you can see her lip quiver. They've done a lot of little things that I think make her look genuine.
Yeah. And like if you look really, really close, the developers were telling us in the first game, she gets hit in the face with like the butt of a gun. And if you look really close at her character model, there's a scar there.
All right, yeah.
So she has like pieces of like her history carried like physically on her. And
That's neat.
she really feels like like we're seeing the same Lara from the last game. We're
We wanna see
feeling
how
like
many
she's evolved.
scars she's going to have for the next game.
Seriously,
Just go
after
through all
this game, she's
Robotic
just going to
arm.
be disgusting. She'll just be like covered in bandages and she'll have one eye.
So what are the types of environments that you guys experienced then? How much of the game have you played? Like generally, like, and what type of environments are we looking at? Because the first game was very much the tropical island sort of thing.
Yeah, and that kind of sucked, right? Because you're like
Yeah.
seeing the same thing every time. This one, there's all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, you have snow and then woods and
Desert.
deserts. Yeah, like they've shown them in like
Is
the
there an
trailers.
underwater
and stuff.
level?
There's a lot of water.
There's
she can
a lot of
swim.
water.
She can swim this
She can
time, so you
swim
can
now.
swim around now.
Could she not swim in the first game?
Nope.
Oh, really?
Nope.
All right.
And she can kill people underwater, which we saw a little bit of.
Oh, yeah.
I was telling Alexa I was bummed because in the previous Tomb Raider games, like way back in the day, water always had like sharks and like barracudas and
Yeah.
like messed up stuff that would kill you. There's like nothing in the water.
Yeah,
So
the water's just fine.
You know, there's no scariness in the water.
So no T-Rex then in this one either?
No,
From what you saw?
not as far. I mean, who knows?
Maybe.
It's just so funny. Like the first Tomb Raider, the first reboot, everything was like, oh, this is pretty cool, and then all of a sudden it was like aliens and
Yeah.
ghosts, and you're like, all right, now it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
But like in this one, we don't know yet. But currently, it's very grounded. It's
Yeah.
not as
It's subtle.
I mean, the
It's
first
not
one went places
otherworldly.
too. Like
Yeah.
the first game
Oh,
ended up with
yeah.
some real fucking
yeah.
strange,
Oh, yeah.
like spooky ghost stuff as
I
well.
think at some point they're just like, you know what? Let's put her in
go.
space. Like just didn't think it, didn't even care.
Lara X Jason coming soon. Let's talk a little bit about there's some microtransaction stuff in here as well. What does that take the form of?
Yeah, people were pretty
Yeah.
angry, and I think a lot of that is they were. You hear that word, and there's aggression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
pay to
it's a
win
raw
is
nerve,
what people
right?
say.
Yeah.
That's not. So the microtransactions here, I think we're actually looking at them. that
Yep.
you're showing.
I did some screen cap of it just to show you guys what it looks like.
Yeah, this is you earn credits by completing challenges. You earn these in-game credits, and you spend them on card packs. And the card packs unlock weapons and gear to be used only in the expedition mode of the game.
What's expedition mode?
It's not like multiplayer. It's a challenge mode that you complete yourself, but you're competing like with other people for like high scores, or you can set up, or you can go to a previous area and set yourself a condition like I'm gonna get through here in 2 minutes or whatever, and you just sort of race yourself.
So they're like isolated zones that
Yeah.
are off of the main game.
That's
then.
right.
yeah.
So you cannot spend any human money that in any way will impact the story.
Yeah.
In
But
any
you can
way.
spend human money to get maybe increase your chance of getting on the top of a friend's leaderboard.
Yeah,
That's what it is? Okay.
it's all about that. But there's nowhere in the game where you can like buy money and then go in and be like, oh, I want like this item. Like there's no, that's just not there.
It's weird. I'd love to know who buys this stuff because like some stuff
people
is
do.
like cards. It's like okay, you know, like I get like Ultimate Team. I get why people might get into that because they spend so much time with it.
Yeah.
But like, why would you buy to get to boost yourself in a multiplayer thing? That just seems like I don't know. Somebody's doing it right.
If they wouldn't do it if people didn't pay for it. And I
Yeah.
understand that if people don't like it, not to give the money in the microtransactions.
Yeah.
But I think the important distinction to make is that it doesn't impact the actual
main game? Yeah.
the main
Yeah.
game. So in terms of like not wanting to support microtransactions, you cannot support them
And
Yeah,
just play.
and
still
still
the game.
enjoy this game.
It's just a shame that I guess like the fairness of that leaderboard seems to be skewed a little bit.
And I think
right?
that's why it's
Yeah.
possible that these leaderboards will go the way of Tomb Raider multiplayer.
I forgot about that. Oh, hey.
Nobody cared, right? It
Yeah.
kind of just was this extension, and it's
God,
possible.
I totally forgot.
Well,
Who knows how much people will care?
yeah. So is there any multiplayer apart from that stuff then in
Nope.
this? None.
There's
not
there's
really.
no like death match or anything like that
No.
in this
Nobody
game.
cares. Probably.
yeah, the only
It-
multiplayer is that score that pops up when you enter an area. Like it'll show how your other friends did.
And that's the
it.
Right.
thing that we're talking about. That's like replaying a tomb
Yeah.
for speed or something like that, and getting a score
Cool.
out of it and seeing if you're the best at it.
Excellent. Last point, I guess, on this is obviously this is an Xbox One exclusive game
For a year?
For 1 year, which which is kind of synonymous, I guess, with Tomb Raider because it was a PlayStation exclusive game for a number of years in the late '90s. There was none on like N64 and Saturn. I guess there was never any Tomb Raider
Yeah.
games for the first 3 or 4. But it is like we're so not used to exclusive games like in 2015. There's so few of them, especially third-party ones. Do you think that it's beneficial or detrimental to Tomb Raider that it's an exclusive game, considering especially the sales of the Xbox One, I guess?
Right.
Yeah, it's really interesting because like all the other exclusives that we see are like from like first-party studios, like Until Dawn. Or I'm just thinking of Until Dawn. Everybody's gone to the Rapture, Bloodborne, stuff like that. Tomb Raider is a sequel to a game that came out on both platforms.
Yeah.
So in a way, like I can understand why players see this as a big like players on PS4 see this as like an FU. We're getting this first. But at the same time, like I think that the exclusivity deal has made that game look really pretty. I think that's sort of a reason why.
Or
that
do you
game
think there's
looks
like a
so
technical
good.
benefit to only working with one?
I think that there's that there's a business backend that you're not seeing.
Right.
That there's no doubt, obviously, that Microsoft was looking for exclusives to help with the Xbox, and Tomb Raider is a great one. It's popular, people like it, it's a well-known franchise. What a great place for a timed exclusive. We'll give you some money. Now, Crystal Dynamics has probably paid for Tomb Raider 3 before they even released.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? I don't know the exact
Or
specifics
that
of it.
it's benefited them because they've had an increased development time or whatever on it. Because
Now they get this ability to relax and make the game of their dreams. And I don't know if...
as long as it's out before Christmas.
Seriously. Well, and so PC is scheduled for early 2016.
Okay.
And PS4
Holiday,
is holiday,
2016.
whatever that means. Could be, I mean, that could be
It could be
Valentine's Day.
12 months. Yeah.
We don't know.
Which holiday?
Yeah.
St. Patrick's Day, maybe.
That's up to interpretation,
Yeah.
but it's a timed exclusive. It's not full,
Yeah.
and you're giving that studio the time and the resources that they need to be able to maybe make the game better. There's no denying from what I've seen so far. It's a stunning game, and it looks great. I do worry that now Tomb Raider has been harmed, that the public is angry. I see it all the time. People are angry at Tomb Raider games, but that's not really fair, and I think that that's up to the public to kind of let that go and realize a good game is a good game. I don't know how many Xbox people who looked at Bloodborne and said, what a shit game. Like it was, like, you know, you call it what it is. Like it might be bad, but it's not because it was a console
It's just that like
exclusive.
inherent clanism with owning one console.
Right.
Is that like if you did only own a PlayStation 4 and you spent like $400 on it, and then this game that you played, the original one, isn't coming out because Crystal Dynamics wanted a bit more cash to maybe make the game of their dreams, or maybe just to, you know, give themselves a buffer. Like you can gotta understand why people are a bit irked about it as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm like,
It cuts both ways, kind of, you know.
Yeah, I can see it from their perspective as well. Like I bought a PlayStation 4 and I've been, you know, I'm a Sony fangirl. I buy everything. Every multi-platform game comes out on the PlayStation 4. And then when they announced this for Xbox, it was like, oh, I guess like I'm gonna have to wait to play it. But then I moved in with someone who owns an Xbox,
Perfect.
so it doesn't really
That's
matter.
what you do.
Yay!
That's the solution.
That's the San Francisco way, is if you don't have it, you find a roommate that has
or a
it,
boyfriend
and then
who
you
has
never
one.
move out. I don't know. Yeah, it would never hurt my feelings. But I've had an Xbox since the beginning.
Yeah.
And you know what? We really needed this.
I agree. Xbox
You know
needed
what?
it.
That's
Yeah.
fine. And I just don't think that.
Titanfall is a long way away.
Oh God, that was.
I forgot that game existed until you mentioned it just now.
That was interesting. That was a long time ago.
It was a long time
So
ago.
great news for Xbox One owners, great news for PC owners in 2016.
Right.
PlayStation 4 owners.
And it's
maybe it'll look
timed.
better in a year's time, an extra bit of polish.
It gives you time to really figure out if you want it.
Yeah.
It
Another-
might even come out on sale. Who knows?
But then you have to avoid the internet for a year for spoilers. That's the problem.
All those hot Tomb Raider spoilers. Well, they're still under embargo. For
Ghosts
us,
and
so-
Aliens.
So we can't. Yeah, it's probably
got Ghosts and Aliens.
It's probably Ghosts and Aliens. Who knows?
If it does, I'm gonna feel bad.
Oh God, can you imagine? Accidental
God.
spoiler.
I don't know.
Apologies, future internet. If that was,
God.
especially those of you watching this on the PlayStation.
We don't know.
Wanting to see if you're going to buy it on
We don't
PS4
know.
in 12 months' time. Let us know what you think about Tomb Raider. Are you looking forward to it? Do you think the exclusivity is a positive or a negative? And when you're leaving your comment, let us know which console you own as well, so we can take that into account. We've got a bunch more stuff coming up on today's show. We're going to talk about Candy Crush with our boy Jay Hay in a second, and then we're going to talk about Fallout 4. This is controllers. Because we can talk about those. Next up, though, sick-ass trailer. Let's see Margaret in that goddamn Persona 4 dancing game, which I can't wait to get my hands on.
Peggy 12.
Perhaps this is fate as well. The time has come. I am prepared. Welcome to the Velvet Room. My name is Margaret. I'm here to accompany you on your journey. Expressing one's feelings through music. It looks as though it could be fun. Excellent choice. This may well heat me up. Nothing meaningless happens in this room. Allow me to feel the reason I called you special. Then let us begin. Let me entertain you. Not a bad feeling at all. Perhaps I shall ask for another song. Persona 4, Dancing All Night.
Hello, welcome back to the lobby. We're here to talk about business with Justin Haywald. How you doing?
I'm all about the business.
How's business?
Business is good. I'm wearing a tie today.
You are? What's on your tie?
I got this from Studio Ghibli. It's a
really?
Totoro tie.
Nice. Nothing
So there's
says
little Totoros on it?
Nothing says business like some sweet. Is it Ghibli or Ghibli? Ghibli.
I mean, like the actual pronunciation
Yeah.
is Ghibli,
Like
but
I
we
know
don't say that.
I'm asking the man who speaks Japanese fluently.
Just Ghibli.
So, Ghibli
makes
Ghibli?
sense.
All right.
Ghibli.
We're not here to talk about Studio Ghibli. We're here to talk about Activision purchasing Kim.com.
King.
Kim.com.
King.
They bought Kim.com.
Kim Kardashian's new
amazing.
website.
Kim.com.
She does have a very successful mobile game, though.
But not as successful as the guy who made Mega Upload. Is that was Mega.com?
Yeah,
Kim.com?
Mega.
And now Activision own Kim.com. It's amazing.
So, well, no, not Kim. This is King.com.
Oh,
or King.
King.com. Right.
King
The guys who make
Industries.
Candy Crush.
Yes, and other games that you know really well, like Candy Crush Soda Saga
Okay.
and Witch Candy Saga.
And owners of the words Candy and Saga, as the people who made the Banner Saga are all too aware of.
Those were I think settled out of court.
Okay.
The actual details of those will never come to light. They
Right.
also were trying to go after somebody who was using the word candy in a title.
Really?
'Cause,
They went
you know,
after the
developer of Candy Swipe, which came out before Candy Crush Saga.
It's called Candy Swipe.
Candy Swipe.
Wow. Did they try and take Halloween to court?
No, there's no Halloween in the title.
No,
But-
Candy.
But they go after comic book characters for using the word crush.
Are you serious?
No, that's not.
Like,
That is not true.
I can't tell. Who knows? But let's talk about what we do know. Activision's purchased this company for an incredible amount of money. How much money and why did they do it, do you think?
So it's over $6 billion, which is an insane amount of money. And I think the reason that we think about it is that, like, no matter what, all of these amounts of money for these companies are crazy. But this one sounds especially huge because recently Disney bought Star Wars for $4 billion.
Yeah.
That means this is worth more to Activision than Star Wars is to Disney.
Look at this. Who cares about this? This guy there, he wishes he was playing Candy Crush. This guy,
yeah,
he's
who's
like,
gonna-
oh man, I'm going to kill all the Jedi because they bet me in Candy Crush.
And it's such not only a film franchise with Star Wars, but merchandising. There's so many ways they're going to make money from that.
Yeah.
And the amount of money is at the end of the day really not that big of a thing because Candy Crush, even now when it's on a decline, Candy Crush and King are not doing that great. They still make over $1 billion a year. So, Activision is going to make this back very quickly. So it's not really the matter of money, but the fact that they value it at that amount of money. That a publisher like Activision, who has so many properties, who has so much that they can do, they could buy hundreds of smaller developers, but instead they went after the very biggest fish.
Yeah.
And what do you think the reason is that they did that?
So is it like either it's because they're trying to, get a foothold into this massive, not emerging market. Mobile games isn't emerging anymore. It's
Someday
it's
these
very
mobile
much-
games will catch on.
It's very much like it's bigger than mainstream games in terms of gross revenue. Surely at this stage.
And in terms of people who play it, like people who don't think of themselves as gamers, are actually
completely.
gamers.
Yeah.
And they spend more time and more money on them than most of us do. Like, when you think about Zynga, and when they think about a whale, like we think of a whale as like, oh, this person spent $100 or $200 in microtransactions. At Zynga, a whale is someone who can spend thousands of dollars a month on Farmville.
Yeah.
What are you buying?
And if you're spending, it's like any other game that we play. If you're spending enough time on it, then you're willing to buy the next DLC or whatever. Like,
I'm not going to spend $1,000 on Fallout. No matter how good Fallout 4 might be, I'm not going to spend $1,000 a month on it.
So let's talk about, I guess, what are the business reasons for this? Because King's shares have jumped up something like 14%. Activisions have also had a spike today. Like, how much of this is just posturing for shareholders? How much of this is to do with sort of how business is perceived and not really like inroads into like new markets? Are they going to start making Call of Duty games on phones? Like, what are we looking at here?
I think those are the kinds of things that we're going to see. From our perspective, this seems like a ridiculous thing. It sounds like Activision, the Call of Duty maker, is buying Candy Crush Saga, and they're not, because Candy Crush is just a small thing, and that will ultimately be gone. And King knows that. King knows that they have kind of a one-trick pony. They've tried other games, and like Rovio, like the Farmville developer Zynga, those games have all failed. Nobody cares about those games as much anymore. They've tried to diversify, and they've just been completely unsuccessful. And King knows that they need other properties. They need a way to distribute games that will reach a bigger audience, because they're on a downward trend. And Activision, on the other side, has so many huge titles like Call of Duty. On the PC side, they have Blizzard, they have World of Warcraft and Hearthstone. They have these games that capture the core, but they don't have a casual audience. And that's where EA has just been killing them in the past couple of years. That EA, as much as we might disparage some of the things they do, they're really successful, especially with their mobile games.
Yeah,
with
a lot of people
Simpsons
play
games.
Simpsons Tap Out.
And this is Activision's opportunity to get a foot in that market without having to start from the bottom. Like, they're basically taking not the game that's at the top anymore, because that's the Clash of Clans type games. There's an Age of whatever, Age of War. Those games are the current top.
Game of Age.
But even now, years after it's come out, Candy Crush Saga is still like number 3, and one of the others is number 6. And this is a way for them to get a lot of people really quickly. And they have access now to a huge swath of users and a lot of money that they weren't getting before from that market, which is kind of like, I know people always throw out that term, but a blue ocean.
Yeah.
Like, it is endless. People who don't think of themselves as gamers play these games. Your mom is someone who, well, I don't know about your mom. Like, we never talk about that when we're doing other stuff.
You know about my mom, but we don't talk about it.
But my mom in particular, like, loves these kind of dumb games, and she wouldn't, like, I wouldn't think of her as a hardcore gamer, but she'll spend hours just like,
Which is the problem games have had in perpetuity, because it's a controller with all these buttons. Like, the closest, traditional game, core game, whatever we refer to ourselves as, got to the mainstream was the Wii, and the only reason for that was because it was a remote control, because people knew how to use a remote control. Your grandmother knew how to use a remote control, so she could play tennis, you know?
And like, I think that we're in a really insular bubble. We think PS4 and Xbox One are doing really well. They're doing better than the 360 and the PS3 were.
And the PC's doing incredibly well as well, like getting more audience, it seems like.
But when you think of that in the broader context, like, yeah, it's doing better than the previous consoles did, and it's gaining acceptance, and it's making a lot of money, but not compared to something like mobile gaming, not compared to something like the ubiquity of TV and reaching out to literally the entire world. Because we love Call of Duty and Fallout and all of these other really big franchises. I can't wait to play Star Wars Battlefront. But at the end of the day, that's actually a really small percentage of the potential audience of something that, like, I'm just going to match these 3 colors. You can release that in any country, and there's no need to translate. What does this mean? I mean, there is localization, there is translating, not to despair, not to put anything like that.
But
Smaller,
you put
it's a lot
Bejeweled in front
easier.
of a child who can't read, and they can still figure it out.
They're going to figure out, put those together. I won.
So should we be worried? Like, those of us who are in this bubble, those of us who are watching this show and play these games that are behind us and are excited about Fallout and stuff. Like, you look at a company like Konami, who's basically just said, see ya to the traditional video game industry because of their massive money they have in their casinos and pachinko parlors. There's a company like Activision, which obviously still has massive fingers in traditional games, but especially with Blizzard, and they own some of the biggest franchises. But they're also like a far ways away from the people who make Grand Prix and Pitfall. Like, now they're getting into this market, which might be that much more, revenue driving for them. So, like, is this something we need to be continuously worried about? Because we're seeing so many companies which were near and dear to video games, the bigger ones at least, spending more time on this.
Okay, when you say worry about it, like, is this going to change what these big companies do and how they make money? Yeah, sure. Like, from that perspective, it's not going to be great. There might be a new Metal Gear game, which is going to be a pachinko parlor. Like, this might be the continuation of the Metal Gear saga. And in that sense, yeah, we're going to lose these established franchises that we might have a lot of nostalgia for and a lot of something that's holding on to it. But at the same time, most of these companies are not getting out of AAA gaming. They still see this as, you're a valuable audience, and we want to create games for you. It's really expensive to make things like Star Wars Battlefront and these these huge multi-year, multi-million-dollar. There's a reason we don't
Yeah.
see GTA every year. It's expensive and it takes a lot of time and people and money. But they're still making those, and those in the long run still pay off. But at the same time, we still have great indie developers who are making really wonderful experiences with really small teams, and that's the kind of thing that's never going to go away, and that's the kind of way that we're going to, I think, continue to get the experiences that we love and that'll be really memorable for us from a gameplay perspective, and not having to worry as much about how can we increase our revenue this quarter over what it was previous quarter.
Interesting times. Justin Haywell, thank you for coming on and explaining that crazy madness to me and everyone watching. King.com, now owned by the good people at Activision. Let us know what you think. Do you play Candy Crush? Do you want none of your Call of Duty on phones? Let us know in the comment box below. All right, we'll be back in a second to talk about the game on everyone's lips is Controller right after this trailer for... See if I can remember.
King.
I think I can. It's not.
King.com.
It's not. Like, don't tell me, Tay. What is it again?
Five Nights?
Oh, it's Five Nights at Freddy's. I read the running. Fucking weird. That was really weird.
Game of the Year 2016.
You think?
Maybe. It's a contender.
It is a contender. We're gonna have to do that. There's no way that's the start of the Fallout bit. We're gonna have to throw up the third again. No way. Hey folks, we know what you want to talk about. We know what we want to talk about. It's Fallout 4. This is peripheral. Look at it here. It's the Pipboy edition of Fallout 4.
boy.
It's right here. Are you dumb and spent $120 on this like me?
You're one of those people,
I
right?
am. I think this is Ben's, I think. Did you buy the Pip-Boy edition?
No,
No, did you
I did
buy
not.
it? Okay, I'm alone here. There's someone else in the offices, I'm sure. But
It
but
looks
look,
cool.
It's right here, look at it.
Is it worth $100? Have you put it on? Have you tried?
Is anything worth $100?
Well,
Yes, a lot of things are worth $100.
if you watched GameSpot.com, you could see Danny and I shove his hand into it and then
Yeah.
realize it opens.
It does. Okay, so I'm biased because I've already spent my money on this. It's on the wrong hand, but it's upside down, but don't worry about it. But
Of course, you corrected.
I want your opinion. What do you think about it? Build quality. What do we think? What do we
Build
look at?
quality. This is actually really nice. Like, this is a sturdier thing that I would have thought. I mean, it's $100. If this were a piece of
It's
shit.
$120
Oh, the knobs move?
with the game.
All the knobs.
move.
Wait, hold on.
I'm so scared
Press the
you're gonna
button.
knock this over onto my
Wait,
laptop.
oh.
Put that there.
Does this not work today? Oh, there we go.
There you go.
it lights up?
You put your phone in.
Yeah.
It'll have an app which will connect up to the video game, which is out at some stage
When?
in the future.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Nope.
And if we did, we couldn't tell you. And then you can play the video game apparently with this on. So
Yeah.
it's nice and light as well. Do you think?
Yeah, it's not heavy. It feels pretty. There's Velcro. This feels like a kind of metal.
That's the only metal thing on it.
Yeah.
In fact, the one thing about the build quality I wasn't so sure is that we had a bit of trouble opening it up for the phone.
Yeah, it
Do you
was
want
like-
to try again?
Let's see. Okay, so we had to push it. Oh no, I'm gonna break this.
Yeah.
We had to push it. We had to push it up. Like this right here comes out,
Yeah, it was there.
and this
yeah.
comes out.
And it can
kinda
fit so
hard to
many
see,
kinds
right?
of phones. It can fit this kind of
Are
phone.
you aware that
and
this goes
kind.
down?
Yeah, I think that's what you do to pull it up or something. So it feels kind of plasticky, and when you're trying to like fit it back in, it doesn't like click
Oh, I'm
nice. Here, let me hear it. Here, let me see if I can. It's like,
It's so like I'm afraid to break it.
yeah, because it's
so
like,
delicate.
you kind of pop it up. So that's where the phone goes. But when you put it back down again, it kind of catches this weird part. So you have to like lift it up and tug. What I'm saying is, if you were taking this thing off and putting it on again over and over, it might,
keep an eye out.
Yeah, because look, if I try and force this down, it does that.
As a fashion
Yeah.
accessory, this is how I would want to use my. Like I really.
Oh, that's what you do. You kind of push it down and release it that way.
It
you
seems
go.
unstylish to get one of those hip holsters, but at the same time, like I don't like keeping my phone in my pocket. And smartwatch. I have a smartwatch here. It's too small. I can't do anything with this.
Yeah.
This is useless. This is
my
my
outfit's in
phone
it.
on my wrist. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I mean,
this
you
is like-
know, smartwatches are all about peacocking, right? So what's like the ultimate smartphone peacock? It's
Then this.
Yeah, this looks
It's like,
dumb.
nobody cannot see that. This does look dumb. But imagine if it was inside.
Oh,
your eye.
it's not. It just falls.
So I have no idea.
useless.
Like the real test is going to be how
How
that
it works with the app.
Because Blizzard have now, or sorry, not Blizzard, Bethesda have now. It'll be the third app they've launched this year.
Yes.
Because
There's a new app that just came out
Yes.
today
Fallout Chat.
that lets you chat.
Did you
with-
download it?
No.
I did. Can someone else please
course
download it
you
as
did.
well, so that if
No,
I'm
you
not
can
just
share it.
sending emojis to people that
yourself.
they can't see?
You can, at least in the Android version of it, you can open it up and then send those icons to other services. So
Amazing.
we use it in work. We use Slack.
We do.
So you can send those GIFs
We can
to
Slack
Slack.
each
Oh,
other.
really?
Fallout Chat.
Great.
My question for you, Danny, is when the game comes out, are you going to be wearing this 24/7?
I'm going to give it a 24. Wait, when I'm playing the game 24/7?
No,
or?
we should see how long you can go wearing this thing.
Oh. I'll
don't
wake
think
up in
water
the
would be good
morning
with
and it'll
it.
be like broken underneath my waist. I'll have like,
Well, you can take it off while you sleep and you shower.
okay.
But it'll be interesting to see.
I can't wait to see what it's going to be like actually like playing.
Or
like for elongated, because Fallout's a game you can easily play for like 5-6 hours.
Yeah, you get lost in it.
Yeah.
It seems like this would.
You could, right?
You could get lost
like,
in
we
it.
don't know
You
how
get
long
lost in Fallout.
You get
might
lost in Fallout
play
3.
We're
Fallout.
assuming.
Yeah, in Fallout
Based on
4.
previous
Yeah.
Fallouts.
When you play Fallout 3, you just get lost in it, right?
Yeah. So presumably, if you were to
Presumably.
play Fallout 4, you would get lost in it for a while.
Does it make your hand go? I would be afraid that it would be cutting off circulation in my hand, which could have positive benefits as well. But when
The
I'm just wearing
stranger.
it,
What?
Yeah, the stranger. Going for the stranger. But it
We
seems
went
like it might
there.
also
We did it.
cut off
Sorry, Mary.
circulation.
Mary is screaming behind.
So, if this isn't, of course, you don't actually have to wear this. You can just, it can be a
Yeah.
collectible thing.
A
You just-
decorative piece.
you can put- it comes with a stand that's in there, which, yeah, do you take the stand?
Let's get it out.
But it's not the only dumb Fallout thing. Fallout
That you
merchandising.
bought today.
No, god damn it. This controller
Oh boy, this
is
top
available,
heavy.
or not really available anymore, which cost me.
Which was available for about 24 hours.
Yeah, it was sold pretty
seriously.
quick. Yeah, this cost 75. Nobody saw that. Nobody saw it fall over. This cost $75 before shipping. I'm not
to
really
be fair,
sure.
Nobody's
normal
looking.
controllers also are pretty pricey.
For $50, yeah.
But
This
has
is
extra
Xbox One.
So this takes a headset, just any regular headset you can
It
plug in there.
does. It has a new button.
It has a button that lets you mute,
Yeah.
and it lights up when it's working. I don't
Just so
think
you
they're
know,
bad
this
at
isn't
that.
like a
Super
sponsored
cute.
thing. We're just showing this off so you can decide if you want to buy this controller with its 10-foot USB cable. For all
Wow.
you people who have like
Living in the wasteland, far away from a
from a television.
television, I'd buy this for that cable. That's an awesome cable.
You want a cheap USB cable with a free controller? 10
10 feet.
feet. It's wired only as well.
And you can't see it, but the buttons are also somewhat customized
Yes.
for Fallout. So when you press left, there's a controller button. When you press right, there's a little person. On,
A person,
on
yeah.
the-
Super cute.
It's kind of cute. So and it feels all right. It's like it's
Feels
got a
like
nice
a-
grip to it.
No PlayStation
controller.
version?
No PlayStation version. So I
Damn.
kind of feel like the fact that this is wired as well means it's a PC controller. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it'll work out the box with Windows 10 or Windows 7 or 8, I think as well.
And there's now a wireless adapter for Xbox One controllers.
Correct.
Which is $25, I think.
Which I'm not sure if it's with this one, but yeah. So there you go.
Oh,
that's,
this feels nice.
That's all your Fallout thing. I can't wait to eventually play the video game and then we can talk about it.
Yeah.
But until then,
Eventually.
you get to look at these wonderful
Yeah,
things and
we can-
imagine
Yeah.
what it would be like.
And we can show them to you as viewers to see if you want to purchase them as well. But I sure
Well,
can't wait to play Fallout.
You can't
What-
purchase either of those, can you? Like, this is just all aftermarket stuff. You're basically saying, hey, you should go on
Oh,
eBay
no.
and buy these for thousands
eBay.
of dollars.
Yeah, they did a second run of the Pipboys. I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Well, they did like a
another
third
maybe.
one. No.
Oh, really?
I think went over multiple times and sold out each time. The only way to get these things now is by paying a
so
scalper.
sorry.
Someone who
Bribery.
We
doesn't
really
love
want to
it.
talk about Fallout 4 stuff, and this is the only way we're able to do it. So this
Look at
is,
our toys.
This is the thing. Hey, on a completely different note, what did you play over the weekend?
I
Crush Saga.
played
Candy Crush
a video
Saga?
game.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I played The Witcher 3, one of many great games that came out in 2015. All right, that's the end of our episode of The Lobby today. Alexa Ray Korea, Justin Hayward, thank you so much for coming on. What are you doing for the rest of the week at GameSpot.com?
Playing video games.
Okay.
This weekend is BlizzCon. I'm going to be heading out with Eric Tay.
cool.
Thank God. Okay, tell us about BlizzCon. You can tell us about BlizzCon, right? You're able to tell us about BlizzCon?
We know that there's going to be movie stuff because
Okay.
they've showed the poster, so we're probably going to hear more about that movie. And I've heard from sources that there's going to be news about almost every game.
Almost every game
Every game?
that Blizzard owns.
Almost.
Almost every game.
That's a lot of games.
Will there be Hearthstone news?
Probably. I don't know what specifics there might be, but
Hopefully there'll be an Overwatch open weekend soon enough.
I think that is probably a strong possibility since people are playing it now.
Lots
Yep.
of people. Yeah. So.
And of course, those fan favorites, StarCraft and Diablo 3.
Yeah, StarCraft. What do you think about that, Eric Tay? Dead game.
Eric Tay is going to go with me,
GG.
who's working in our back room there.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. Thank you so much, Justin. Have a
you.
wonderful time down in Anaheim. That rhymed. Have a wonderful time
Playing
video
games.
games. Video games. And we'll be back next week to talk about all the video games that come out then.
Loot Crate.
Oh, we've also got a Loot Crate giveaway. We probably should do that now as well. We're going to talk about Tomb Raider next week, maybe again?
Yes, perhaps, yes.
Maybe we'll talk about an upcoming Bethesda game. which I
Yeah.
think-
Are they putting something out? I didn't know.
Yeah?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're putting something out, yeah. It's like an expansion for Skyrim, I think.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, looking
Didn't they
forward.
port it to Xbox One for something?
They did, yeah.
Like as a
They
test?
turned that into something else, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe it's that thing. We got a Loot Crate to give away. We got a bunch of Loot Crates to give away. Do you want to hold this? You're really good at holding things, Justin.
You can pass things to me if you like.
Yeah, you can pass. Let's see what's in this Loot Crate.
All right, we have a Back to the Future Dr. Brown figure.
Great Scott,
vinyls.
Alexa.
It's super cute. That's super cute.
I'm probably a bigger fan of this. It's a Doctor Who limited edition Sonic Spork.
Okay.
I thought you were going to end with Sonic, and I was like,
Doctor Who's in Sonic now. Do you not know
So
that?
when you need to eat food and you don't know, am I going to need a fork? Am I going to need a spoon? Should it be Sonic? It's a Sonic Spork.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now try and put that packaging back together so we can give it to someone.
no.
Put it in your
No, I'm
Don't put it in your mouth.
You might win this one.
our
What's-
loot crates come with Justin Haywald's DNA.
I know, much like everything here at GameSpot.com.
Oh.
Be excellent to each other. This is a sweet Bill and Ted shirt, which I am now going to struggle to fold back in the original way it was folded. What else do we have there?
A Back to the Future hoverboard 1:5 scale replica. You cannot ride this, but you can look at it.
If you
It's
were
not rideable.
1/5 scale, maybe.
Yeah, then maybe you can.
Maybe if you were 1/5, yeah, a
and-
tiny human.
And this is only one of many Loot Crates that we're giving away today.
Yeah, so
There
we
are
have
so
a
many
whole
things
bunch
on
of
me.
these. This is the most recent one.
That's a Doctor Who thing.
Well, this book explains all of the neat things that they do. So Loot Crate does their monthly grab bag of like a Comic-Con in a box.
Yeah.
Where you get random things.
Stuff.
And there's going to be more Loot Crates that are, I think, more focused on video game people. That's the reason they sent it to us. There's going to be a Call of Duty one and a Mass Effect one.
That's
I assume.
interesting.
We don't know exactly what's going to be in them.
Sure.
But they usually have some pretty cool and exclusive stuff.
Cool. And we've got a bunch of them to give away.
And we have a bunch of these to give away. Not the Mass Effect ones,
No.
not the...
But
Maybe
these,
later.
We have
These
these.
regular
These are
nerdy culture, I don't know what you call it, stuff, pop
Time.
culture, non-video
Pop
game
culture.
stuff. But we got to, don't get it mixed up with the Pip-Boy things. We're
And
not giving that
hopefully
away.
you get this one.
Yeah, I
which
like the Sonic Spork.
If Justin doesn't
But if you
steal
want to
them
win it, all you have to do is follow at GameSpot and retweet what they done tweeted for your chance to win one of those Loot Crates filled with swag. Close that one up. We got to close that. I'm going to take
Got
all
it?
these things. All these iPhone,
Those are
iPhone
fun.
Pip-Boy
cushions.
holders, or Galaxy. It also fits in that. It's been a show. It's been a real show.
been a show.
We've nothing really to do to play or do video coverage about.
No, nothing really happening.
This
Slow
week,
on.
so we should probably just keep doing the show, maybe.
Yeah, there's
Or-
not been a lot of big games.
No,
it's not
there's
really
nothing.
slow into the year.
Nothing going on.
Slow week.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. We're out of here. we'll see you next week where we'll talk about some goddamn new coming video games. Thanks to everyone in the back for helping out with today's show. Mary Kish, Josh Shaw, Eric Tay, Dan Mahorek, and everyone else who helps put this thing together. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Pacific. Stay tuned to GameSpot.com though. In the meantime, for all the updating news on, I believe there's some Call of Duty stuff coming later this week. We have BlizzCon, of course, on the weekend. And then early next week, we'll talk about an upcoming Bethesda game. Until then, have a great week, and we'll see you next time.